Today, I'd like to welcome you to the Transform Your Experience site to a mobile app with mobile publisher flight, or as I'd like to call it, mobile publisher mayhem with me. So this is co-pilot Oumaima speaking, and this is co-pilot Zach next to me. His name is Zakaria, but you can call him Zach. Before starting, we would like to say that don't make any precision decisions based on any forward-looking statement that I or Zach might make. Today, only make your purchasing decisions based on the general available functionalities and functionalities that are available in the production instance of Salesforce. We would also like to add that we don't speak on the behalf of the product team. The whole content of this flight is based on our own experience and knowledge. So let's start with our agenda. Basically, we will have four stops of our flight today. The first one is going to be on the introduction country. The second one is going to be on the basics land. And if the weather continues to be this great today, we are going to have a scenic view of the building, your app city. And last but not least, our fourth stop is going to be on the release process town.
We're going to steal the mic from Oumaima because you've been hearing from her in our So Oumaima joined the Salesforce ecosystem back in 2020. Then she managed to get her platform level 1 the following year. Then the certified admin, the JavaScript developer 1 this year. And finally, the Experience Cloud consultant, which is relevant to what we will be seeing. Also a quick note about her, which is not in the slides. Looks like we have to use this technology.
And what a technology. Very advanced. There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. So one thing that is not mentioned in this slide, she is actually part of an internal program we have at Salesforce for future architects. And so far in this program, she is ranked number 2 among 20 other candidates, which are from junior to senior people. So, yes. No, this is all. Something serious. Okay. This is all from Oumaima. I will hand over now to her.
Thank you, Zach, for the introduction. I'm sorry about the inconvenience. We are dealing with very sophisticated technology here, guys. Wait. All right. About Zach. Basically, this slide here says that he got his Salesforce administrator back in 2019, and on 2020 he got the Experience Cloud consultant, JavaScript developer 1, and platform developer 2. And back in 2021 he got certified application architect. But trust me, he doesn't have only 5 certifications, he is 14 times certified. I think by now we should start counting the ones you don't have, because you've been collecting them like Pokemon, to be honest. All right, if by far you don't believe why we should be your co-pilots, we assure you that we have as much achievements and awards as Taylor Swift has. Basically, we worked on 11 projects in total, on 6 different industries, with 6 years of experience in total. We have 20 certifications. We have published 5 albums, articles, and we have 381 trailhead badges in total. So let's now move to the basics of creating or transforming your Experience Cloud site to a mobile app using mobile publisher. Basically, the first step is going to be that you need to build your digital portal with Experience Cloud. The second one is that you have to create a mobile publisher application on your production instance. Here you will need to upload some information such as the description of the application, the branded logos, the splash screens, the icons, etc. Then Salesforce will assemble your application and will publish it and make it available on both Play Store and App Store. This sounds easy on paper, but trust me, it's more and much complicated than it sounds. And you'll know why later. Basically, when you first learn mobile publisher, you will see or you will know that it's a hybrid app. So basically, Salesforce maintains your code and make it available, as I said, on Play Store and App Store. Second is that a mobile publisher is nothing but a web browser. So basically, it's just a web browser that displaying your Experience Cloud site. So yeah, this is good because you don't need to republish or to see the latest version of your application every time. This sounds good, but actually the challenge here is that when your Experience Cloud or your mobile app is nothing but a site that pointing to a web browser, so what you need here is to make your application feel and look as much as a mobile app, actually. So yeah, I will hand over to Zach.
Yes, talking about building your app, or should I say building your site, remember that we will be building a site here. So the first thing to consider is that you won't only build for mobile, but you should also build for desktop and for tablets. Because the experience site, after all, will be accessible through the URL in the browser. One efficient way to build this responsibly without too much effort is that you can build the screen width to scale, for example, to the width of the iPad, and then it will work on the desktop no matter the larger the screens get. Second consideration are the browsers, because us developers usually build and only test on Chrome, and this is not enough. Because if we're talking about iOS, the default browser is Safari, so we should be also testing in this. And to be honest, the list is long. Why you should be considering browsers, technically speaking, because browser differences exist. Next point is the mobile experience. So even though we will be building a site, it should be more friendly with the mobile experience, and by that you can include the native controls. We will have a deep dive about this later on. And also animations. You should prevent the scroll bouncing. This is what happens when you scroll the screen, and it pretty much gives a sense of a refresh, even though it doesn't do anything. So unless you have a refresh mechanism, don't do it. And also the pinch zoom. The pinch zoom, we will see also an example about it during the demo. This is something to avoid. So I'm going to focus on the native controls. Specifically, I'm going to give two examples. The first example is regarding the combo box. We have a combo box, an out-of-the-box combo box on the available standard Lightroom components. It's this one. I see the options are not clear, but you get the idea. You get options in a specific list, and this is not friendly with the mobile. However, if you want to display those options the native way, it will look like this on iPhones and like that on Android. This is the native way. And behind the scenes, this is, by the way, a custom combo box that we did build. Behind the scenes, it's the same components, but the way it's rendered, it's dependent on the device itself. Moving on, we have another example, the multi-selects. You can call it combo box, multi-pick list, whatever. We don't have an out-of-the-box multi-pick list in Salesforce, so we had to build a custom one in any case. This is how it looks on iPhones or iOS devices, and this is how it looks on Android. So again, it's the same component behind the scenes, but the way it's rendering, it's dependent on the device. In other words, it's native. Okay, moving on, and actually before we see the demo with Oumaima, we're going to see the demo in what we call the mobile publisher playground, because we don't have an app. We didn't publish an app in the Play Store and the App Store for the purpose of this presentation. So we're going to witness this from the playground, which is, we can define it as a non-branded version of mobile publisher. In other words, this is something you can download even now. And then you can start testing your site to be rendered as an app directly. The next point is that it has a couple of features, cool features actually, that you can start also exploring, testing, etc. It has the persistent login, Face ID, Touch ID. We're going to see this also with Oumaima. The push notifications, uploading, downloading files, sharing files as a real app. But remember, this is not a branded experience. This is for testing purposes only. Therefore, it doesn't have some features like the universal links, app links. For example, open the app directly from clicking the site URL. It doesn't have deep linking. It doesn't have anything related to branding. For example, the header bar color that you can customize, and also the customer branding. In terms of setup, so after downloading this app and installing it in your device, the setup is simply like this. You access the app. By the way, this app is in beta. Therefore, you have to agree to some terms and conditions. Then you will get here where you should paste the URL for your site. You can also specify if it's ending with a /s or not. Then you can click continue. And this site will be loaded as an app just for preview purposes that you can start testing with directly. So this is all in terms of the mobile publisher playground. Without further ado, it's time for the demo.
So basically the application is, the idea behind the application, let's say that we have groups of people that wants to collaborate with each other when collecting garbage/trash on the forest or the beach. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to enter the playground here. And as you see, the first thing that's going to happen is going to be the application will be unlocked with my face, which is, the biometrics functionality in mobile publisher. What you see here first is the home page. Good. What you see here is the home page. The home page basically contains a carousel, which contains some pictures. And if you are worried, basically this is a native LWC carousel. And if you are worried with the customization that's here, black background / white text, this is just a customization we have done using CSS. The next thing that I want to show you is this tab bar. Basically, this is the native mobile publisher tab bar. And we have customized, a fully customized tab bar again here and in the hamburger menu. So if I click on here, you will see that it's basically the same thing, but at least the feel and look looks so much like a mobile app, not a website. So basically, the difference between the native one and the customized one we have built is when I click, for example, on activities here, you see that the page was already loaded. But if I go back in here and click on the activities, for example, you will see that it's now being loaded. All right? Before moving forward, I'd like to say that I haven't showed you yet the login page because it's not possible for security reasons. I can't project my screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just get the URL of the login page. So I will just open it on the browser. Wait. Something isn't good.
This is what usually happens during the level. There's always some stuff that you need.
Yep. As you see here, we have done a customization, so the user can know that the page is being loaded. And this is basically the login page that we have customized. Moving on to the application now. Where were we? All right, so I will go to the activity tab. So basically what you see here is a custom tab that we have created. Basically this is fully customized, it's not really standard. And this page here contains the activities that this user have. Basically you see here two buttons. One is for scanning the QR code, so you can add an activity just by scanning a QR code, or you can add an activity manually. Let's start by scanning the QR code, okay? Let's just give me a second so I can get that QR code. Wait. All right. Okay. So as you see here, I scanned the QR code, and by magic, the activity was added. And the second one is I'm going to add the activity manually. So let's click on plus. Basically, what you see here is something that we have created that's called the wizard framework. That's Zach is going to explain later. What I'd like to point out here is that you see the next button is actually disabled. So it won't be enabled until I enter something on the name. And one problem here is that here we have the pinch zoom that Zach pointed out earlier. So basically here you have to really pay attention on the user experience of your mobile application. So let's say let's give it a name, forest cleaning, for example. Next. If you saw earlier, I have written forest with double T, not one T. So the power of the wizard framework is that I can go back and you will see that the page has its previous state. So I can actually just do the modification without any problem. I will click on next. Then here, I have to choose the type of the activity. So I will click on the combo box. Basically, this is a custom combo box that's rendering natively. So I will, for example, choose forest. And for the causa, this is a multi-select custom combo box that Zach showed you earlier, which is rendering natively as well. So I will, for example, say greater good and Earth Day. The power of this combo box here is that it shows you the number of items that you have selected. So for example, if I want to remove a pill, let's say for example, I will remove the Earth Day pill, you will see that it's fully dynamic. I will click on next, and here we have to add the tags. Basically here we don't actually have to add the tags, but because you see there a skip button. So this step is not really mandatory. So this is basically on the wizard framework, you can specify a step if it's going to be mandatory or is it going to just be a not mandatory step. I will click on skip. Last thing that I want to show you is the date and the location components. So here, let's say for example that I will enter today's date, 22nd, and this is again fully customized. When I enter 22nd, you see that there's a point that was added in the input. Of course, it's separated between the day, the month, and the year. So let's say 10/20/22. And then here for the map, we actually use the native one of Salesforce, of LWC basically. It's called Lightning Map. With some JavaScript behind the scenes, I can just choose my current location. I will click on current location, and I will click on next. And by magic, you see that the activity was added. Basically, we will have to have a notification here, but it's taking some time to load. I guess it's traffic, that's why. Well, but you got the idea. When you actually add an activity here, you will receive a notification saying that the activity was actually added. So yeah, that's it for me. I will hand over to Zach so we can explain the wizard framework and how it works.
Okay, going back to the slides, we would like to take a moment to explain the wizard framework. This is something that we did build after considering the flows, because if you're thinking about it, we can achieve this with flows. But the issue is that the user experience is not the same. For example, the navigation buttons cannot be activated or deactivated based on a criteria. Also, the loading time between screens will take time. As you can see, is in our example, it's really in real time, I should call it. So the idea behind this wizard framework is that we did build a reusable component, a base wizard, for example, if we can call it. Then we did build also inside of it some specific reusable components like the step indicator that you saw at the top, and also the navigation buttons. And also we did provide multiple slots for the steps. Basically, the slots will represent the steps. In our example, we had 4 steps. Therefore, we had 4 different slots for them. Each step is a Lightning component itself. It's, as you can see, I'm talking about only custom stuff, so there is no out of the box stuff here. There is also a pre-built forward and backward navigation. So as a developer, if you want to use this framework, you don't have to worry about the navigation. It's already built. And as you can see, as you saw, there was a skip feature. So you can also skip from any step you want to any specific step also that you want. And also you can execute, in our example, we didn't see it, but you can execute a custom logic after any step or before any step. And by a custom logic, I mean you can execute an apex action maybe. There's also the ability, which is key, that you can specify for each step a condition in which the forward navigation or the navigation buttons in general will be activated or disabled as well. So with that, I'm going to go back to the first slide that we saw with Oumaima regarding the basics. So we did say there's actually more than this, because those actually the 4 steps from the official documentation. However, from our experience, there's more than this, and we can recap it in 4 different steps as well. So there is the preparation process, there is the development, building, and testing process, which can be run in cycle, in sprints. Then there is the process of requesting a beta app for your app, and then there is the go live. So if we start with the preparation first, there's something important to do here, is that the customer must have an Apple and a Google account, developer account, to publish the app. And if you are working with a customer in a mobile publisher project, make sure to tell the customer to request this as early as possible. Then you need also to tell the customer that you need him to involve the marketing team and legal team to prepare some content. For example, the marketing team has to prepare some splash screens, some logos, etc. The legal team itself needs to prepare the privacy and policy, the terms and conditions, etc. to be shared with Apple and Google. And then if we're talking about the cycle of development, building, testing, remember that we will be building a site in the first place. So make sure to follow all the best practices when it comes to building an experience site. And make sure that is also that this site is as well responsive. You can test, or should I say you should, or you must test this site on several browsers, Safari specifically and Chrome mainly as well. Then you can use the mobile publisher background, even though it's in beta, you can use it to at least start previewing your app before even going to the beta phase. So when it comes to the beta, you need to deploy the code to production. The code has to be in production in the first place. At that point, you can create a mobile publisher project following all of the steps in the official documentation and upload the assets from the marketing team and legal team that you should have prepared previously in the first step. Then you will have 2 managed packages that are generated, and those managed packages can be installed in production or in the first place in a sandbox, in UAT for example, because I assume this beta phase should be in the UAT. It's also important to note that Apple and Google might or usually always request some more information about the app, for example, some user to test the app with, etc. And then after all of this, if everything was fine, if everything was okay, you will move on to the go live, in which you can request the app directly from Salesforce. And also, Apple and Google will review the app once again to make sure it follows the guidelines. The guidelines are different from Apple and Google, so you might have something to fix or to clarify for Apple, but Google is thinking that is absolutely fine, so no need to worry about it. So that was all for our demo. I think we have some time left for the Q&A. So feel free to fire your questions if you have any. Yes? Yes, you need the license specifically for the mobile publisher.
It's called that one.
Yes, they are called mobile publisher licenses. Regarding the pricing and all of the details, I don't have that in my head, because usually it's the account executive that takes care of all of that.
And what about guest users? Can they use the application?
Yes, for example, when we did access the app in the login phase, we didn't need any license, so the guest user doesn't need any really. For example, if you have maybe an app that is just a knowledge center, so I think you don't need any license after all, unless you need users to authenticate to the app and maybe use it in general.
But you did create like something in the app using the guest profile, so that's possible. If we log in again, then we can find like the thing that you created now. The active.
No, the things that we did create was in the context of an authenticated user, because Oumaima had first to unlock the app via Face ID, and the user was already logged in. So everything that we did create, the activities, they are in the context of an authenticated user.
Thank you.
So. Rashid, do you have questions?
I have a question. Is there any experience cloud software that you supported by?
To be honest, no, because when it comes to mobile publisher, it's usually super custom. Therefore, you will go, in our experience at least, it's 99% going custom, even for the theme, the components, the branding, etc. So there is no layout, but even if there was, the customers will always go for the customer route to have a branded experience.
Okay, about templates. The template of the experience. Before creating the experience, you have to choose the template.
No, the templates, you can reuse the existing ones, that's fine. But usually they go with build your own, which is the template in which you can do everything really.
And you're using the same components for the community and for the app. It's the same actual component.
Yes, because technically, as Oumaima did mention, you are pretty much visualizing the site in the context of an app. Therefore, it's the same thing.
So from a developer point of view, like how can you develop for iOS and for Android? Like have separate components for the both?
I was waiting for this question actually. So for the combo box, as you saw, it was displaying differently, but technically it's the same component. So what we did use is pretty much the select HTML tag for the pick list. And this way, it will be displayed natively. We didn't build anything custom there. We pretty much used a tag in the HTML that offered this possibility.
So and if you want like to create a really customized components and separate from the one for the iOS and not use what is natively in iOS and Android, like, is it possible?
Yes, basically in JavaScript, you can access the device type directly and then display a different experience, as you did mention, depending on this device. Yes. I think it's called technically the user agent.
Anything gets stored on the phone.
Sorry?
Does anything get stored on the phone?
It's stored on the phone, based on the application. But basically, what you download from Play Store and App Store is just an application, just like you download Facebook.
No, as in you said that if there's no internet, there's no app.
Yeah, exactly. Because you are basically accessing a website. You are basically accessing an experience site. So you need an internet in order to access your application.
What about using a normal browser? You have some cache data that stays on the browser.
Yeah, that can be there.
So that stays on the
Yeah.
But as Oumaima did mention, if there is no internet, there is no app. You can use the local storage as a feature, for example. It will work. However, if there is no internet, the app won't even get loaded. So.
Can we use flow automation?
Yes. Pretty much when you're building the site, you can use the drag and drop, and that's it. However, as we did mention, the user experience of a flow in the mobile is not there yet, at least in our experience. Customers always ask for something custom, which is the reason why we did build the wizard framework. So.
For example, if we have a whiteboard component, can we customize it to make it available from the mobile publisher?
Yes. Not sure if I understood the question, but if it should be responsive, of course. I mean, it doesn't have to, but just to have a good user experience, a better user experience, it should be responsive. But there is nothing extra besides dragging it and dropping it once it's built in the page that you want to, and that's pretty much it. There is no extra step if this is what you're looking for, I guess. I think that's about time. Thank you again for being here. And